tuning in. I wanted to remind you of our Road to 1,000 Subscribers giveaway that we have going on our YouTube channel. If you subscribe and have a public profile, you'll be entered to win a free RX Smart Gear original jump rope. You'll get to pick the pattern of the handles, the color and weight of the cable, and you'll be getting one of the best-selling, best-performing jump ropes out there. Every time we hit a new century mark with the number of subscribers to our channel, we'll randomly select a new winner. And our friend Dave Newman is going to throw in a little something extra for each winner. So a special thanks to our sponsor, RX Smart Gear, to Dave Newman for being such a great partner, and to you for being a loyal listener. Good luck, and I hope you are our next winner. All right, so hi everyone. Welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. Scott is the Clydesdale. We are his friends, myself, Kat, and Charlie, and we have a new friend today, Sydney Wells. Sydney, how you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to ask you, is this your first podcast by yourself?
I think so, actually.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, good. Yay. We have we've done this with a couple of people where it's been like their first long form podcast. So I love that we get to add you to the list of that.
Yeah.
So for anybody living under a rock this CrossFit season, Sydney Wells made a surprise appearance at the West Coast Classic. She qualified in a CrossFit semifinal and did pretty well there as well. And so, Sydney, I just want to start with, take us through the evolution of this season for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been doing CrossFit a long time, and you've been sort of in the ecosystem sort of once removed, but it looks like to me, if I look at your stats on the CrossFit Games website, that you took some serious stabs at the Open probably like in 2019.
Yeah. Okay. I've always done CrossFit as like a fun way to like just stay in shape and be competitive with my friends. And just after running track, I needed something that was a little bit more competition. So I've just been doing CrossFit, taking the classes, nothing serious. Like I wouldn't say I've ever really trained outside of the classes before. And so this season, I actually was like getting kind of sick of doing classes, and I was going to start training for a marathon, which is so random. And I started doing that in December, and it got canceled. And so I was like, well, now I guess I have to do the Open again. So I did the Open, recorded semifinals, and like was very surprised to make it. I didn't even really plan on recording it. Quarterfinals. And was really excited to get the chance to compete at semifinals. And I was just doing like classes before then. And so once I made it, Proven reached out and asked if I could come train alongside them. And so I started training with them and went to semifinals. And that's really I trained for probably 2.5 months. So.
Wow. That's impressive. Mm-hmm. So did you do the Open? Where were you living before Proven reached out to you?
So I have been in Nashville for 1 year. So I moved here in July. And before that, I was in Memphis.
Got it. So I assume with your SEC track career at Mizzou, you had a chance to visit Nashville a few times in your college career?
Yeah, we would run at Vanderbilt. So I kind of knew it was a place that I really liked. And then living in Memphis, we would come down here a lot on the weekends just to check it out. And I just one day decided I want to move to Nashville, and my sister was in a position in her life where she wanted to move too, so we moved together.
Okay. So did you guys move from Missouri down to Memphis as well together?
No. So my sister was actually living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was in Memphis. I went to Memphis for a job, and she went to Tulsa because it was familiar. We'd lived there before. And we both decided to move at the same time.
Awesome. Very cool. So the Open comes around, and you had been, I guess the year before, had gyms been closed? What was your training situation like then? I know you said you were training for a marathon. Running's pretty much like the only thing you can do in a pandemic, really.
That's why I decided to do it. Okay. Training was pretty weird. In March, I remember like my work was just remote, so I went to Tulsa I guess this was March of 2019 or 2020.
2020.
So yeah, March of 2020. I went and visited my sister, and we did a lot of workouts in her garage and all of that. But by the time we moved here in July, a lot of the gyms were open. They did have a lot of restrictions, but we could still train pretty regularly in July in Nashville.
Okay. So it really wasn't until that marathon got canceled that you sort of said, okay, let's see what can happen?
Yeah, I just did the open, and to be honest, I wasn't going to record quarterfinals because I wasn't even really I didn't even really have the goal of making semifinals because I didn't think I would. And so my sister, she made me record it. She was like, don't be one of those girls that qualifies and doesn't have videos to prove it. So I recorded it and made it. So I was glad I did.
That's insane. And so I know that your sister Brooke chose Mac because she wanted to sort of get that over with and be done. Did you actually select Granite Games as your first choice and then just get West Coast because, I don't know, you weren't seated high enough, or how did that work?
Yeah, so we had known that we didn't want to go to the same one because, well, originally she was going to come and coach me, but that was when that's why I preferenced Granite Games first, so that it was the weekend after hers and she could come coach me on her week off. And then when I didn't get Granite Games, I got West Coast, which I'm really happy about. I ended up loving it, but she wasn't able to come coach me because it was right in the bulk of CrossFit Games training. So that's kind of why I preferenced Granite Games. But I'm actually really glad I got West Coast. It was so much fun.
Yeah. So looking back at clearly, I'm guessing that you followed the Granite Games, right? Like the workouts and things like that.
Yeah.
Was there what went through your head when you saw those workouts and you knew you weren't going to be able to do them? Like, was there one that you're like, oh man, I would have been great at that, or darn it, I'm really glad I didn't have to do this one.
Yeah, I was jealous that they had a lot less legless rope climbs than we had. So I was like, dang, I wish I kind of would have got that one with 2 legless rope climbs. But honestly, I think I liked the workouts around the same, about the same amount as I did the West Coast workouts. I knew the muscle up workout for me wasn't going to go well, and that every single semifinal was going to have one with muscle up. So I was just going to have to get it over with.
Yeah, and deal with it. So I got to spend a lot of time with your mom at West Coast, just because the VIP section was right where the media section was, and so we got to hang out and chat. And she was telling me how great you were going to do the ruck run. How did that ruck run feel to you, and how confident were you going into it?
I knew I'm pretty mentally tough, so, and it's kind of I've just been running for a while. I wouldn't say I was super, super confident. I knew it was going to hurt really bad, but I thought it was one that I definitely had a chance of getting top 10. So, but I honestly didn't put much pressure on myself, which I think helped. And yeah, it went really well.
Was the weather a factor at all for you, the temperatures?
Not really, because we had been running like a little bit in 12 o'clock in Nashville, and it honestly may have been hotter here than it was there in the morning. So I think the weather was fine, but I was a little bit nervous about it when I saw what the temperature was going to be.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like in your first major competition?
I loved it. Honestly, it exceeded my expectations so much. Leading up, I think I had to put a lot of pressure on myself, and then once I got there, I kind of took it off, and I was like, I'm just going to try to do my best. And it's funny because after day 1, I didn't want to know the leaderboard, because I was like, I know I'm not going to be where I want to be, because the first 2 events just weren't the best for me. And they went way better than I had expected. And so someone asked me how was day 1? And I was like, it was so amazing. I did so well. I loved it. And I had no idea I was in the bottom 5.
So I have a question. What was it like to get back in front of a crowd? After your 4 years at Missouri and being able to run track in front of people, what was it like to get back in front of a crowd in a competitive format?
It was awesome. I was actually not as nervous as I had expected. I think just running track for so long, I swear there's nothing like track nerves. So it was amazing. It was weird, like going out there and not knowing like where to look because there's just people everywhere, and I'm like trying to find a focus point for my snatch, and there's just people everywhere. But it was awesome. I love like the crowd and energy and all of that.
That's funny. I get nervous every time I have to run too.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't
Probably
know
for
why.
different reasons.
Yeah, seriously. Was so there was a lot of media there too, like on the floor, cameras. Was that a distraction to you at all?
No, I honestly didn't even notice
You didn't? Okay.
any of them in the moment.
So I'm gonna tell you a funny story. When you were at Mac
Okay.
and you were sitting behind me with your mom, you guys were talking about the last day in Vegas and how maybe, what should we do? And we've got family there and maybe we'll go to dinner or do something. And you literally said, well, we can leave early because I'm going to be in like one of the first heats is what you said. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember hearing that. And then Sunday morning, Miss Wells, you were in the last heat.
Yeah,
So
that was a shocker.
talk to us about what that felt like to sort of have that sort of self-deprecating attitude towards yourself, 3 weeks prior to be like, we can leave early because I'm not even going to be, towards the end there. And then there you are sitting there in that last heat. How much did that mean to you and what was going through your head?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of times I don't give myself enough credit, and it was crazy. I did not expect it at all. It was cool. Like, I feel like people work so hard, like, to get to be in the last heat, and it was incredible getting to do that my first time at semifinals.
You had a huge Saturday where you moved considerably up the leaderboard. What was your favorite event that day?
Going in, I thought the chipper was going to be my favorite. And then winning my heat on the, I forget what it was called, like the bike burpee
Push
one.
pull?
No, the bike burpee, box jump overs, and sandbag. That one was my favorite just because I won my heat, and that was like a really fun feeling to win my heat. It was really fun. I was really nervous for the bike because it's just a lot of calories to sprint, but it ended up going well.
Yeah, and I noted how just composed you seemed all weekend. Knowing that it was your first big competition and paying attention to you at every event, especially like the first workout, to just try to see how you were going to respond to the pressure, the movements, the crowd, all of that maybe wasn't something you were used to in a CrossFit setting. And you just looked like cool as a cucumber the whole time. And I marveled at that, throughout the weekend, that it didn't seem like anything really got to you. Where does that come from, do you think?
Honestly, just having like amazing coaches. Like, if I didn't have them back there, I would literally have not even known what to do, like to warm up, like anything like that. And so I always just knew that like I was going to be taken care of, and I had a strategy for every workout, and I was just going to stay in my own lane and do what I can do. And that's all I can do is my best. And so like I really just had a good head on my shoulders knowing that the results don't matter. I just wanted to do my best.
So I was looking at your IG, and your header on there says "just for fun," and I heard you say that several times in interviews prior to the West Coast Classic. Mm-hmm. Now that you've experienced it, is CrossFit just for fun, or is it something you want to do and take into the future?
Yeah, I definitely sat down and thought about that after the competition because I like really enjoyed it, and I think that if I put in work, it could really go somewhere. So I think I can change that now, and I will definitely be taking it a lot more serious.
Yeah. This might be a tough question to answer, but I want to ask it anyway. I've heard some criticism from people, coaches and maybe athletes, making comments like, if someone can't do 10 unbroken muscle ups, how did they get into semifinals, or they shouldn't be at semifinals. And knowing that, you qualified fair and square based on the program and everything else, does that sting at all? Or do you realize that people aren't like making a dig at you, they're making a dig at the programming? How does that make you feel when you hear that? Or have you heard that?
I actually haven't, but I'm not surprised to hear that at all.
You're welcome for putting that in your head, but I pay
Thanks.
attention to a lot more, media probably than you do, just because of what I do. And I've heard it a couple times, and my mama bear instinct comes out, and I'm like, I know who they're talking about, and that's BS,
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally understand where they're coming from. I was kind of like embarrassed not being able to do one well, but I actually haven't heard that, and like it doesn't affect me at all because I've made it, like you said, fair and square. Like I didn't write the programming, I didn't choose what you had to do to qualify, so oh well.
Yeah.
And again, your
Those
mindset
comments
was just
really like just don't bother me.
and your mindset was to do it just for fun. You had no plans of making semifinals. And so you just took advantage of an opportunity that was presented to you. And and I think people just need to get over that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's a good perspective, Scott. So let's just back up a little bit. We haven't talked much about sort of your upbringing and your athletic background. You grew up in Kansas?
We grew up in Arkansas.
Arkansas, okay. And what did you do for fun then, or what athletic endeavors did you?
Yeah, so we started out, me and my sister both did gymnastics. We did that up until freshman year, and then I started running track, and I really loved track a lot. I kind of decided to do track because we had started freshman year, and I wanted to do a sport that like you didn't have to really have like skill for. You could just run. You didn't have to like hit a ball or anything. And so ran track, loved it. Like won state and all of that a lot in high school, and I knew I wanted to do something with it. So I ended up.
Wait. You just kind of glossed over. You won state.
No big deal.
Yeah, like that's not something you just gloss
Whatever.
over. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. I loved running. We had like a state meet, and then we would have a meet of champs meet, and I can't remember exactly the qualifications, but I believe you had to win your division in your state, and then the next like top 4 go or something like that. And so I did that as well, and I won that and PR'd by like 2 seconds, and I think that's what really like got me a scholarship and all that.
Well, what race was this?
The 400 meters.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect distance. I love it.
Yeah, I got to sprint the whole time.
Yeah.
So what was the college experience like in terms of getting recruited? Because I think you went somewhere for a year before you went to Missouri, or no?
No, so my sister went to Arkansas before Missouri, but I went to Missouri all 4 years. Yeah, the recruiting process it was interesting. Yeah, I knew I wanted to go to an SEC school, and I was just being a brat, and I was like, I'm going to go to an SEC school whether I run or not run. And so when Mizzou reached out to me, I was like, this is it. This is where I want to go. I was considering Arkansas, but I just got more of a scholarship from Mizzou, and I kind of liked that it was in a different city than I grew up in, and so I decided to go with Mizzou.
Okay. And then Brooke joined you a year later, I guess, right?
Yeah, so she went to Arkansas for the first year because we had literally, since we were small kids, we decided we were going to go to Arkansas, and that had always been the plan. And so when I decided to go to Mizzou, she was not happy about it. So she stuck with Arkansas, and I went to Mizzou, and we're just so close that we were like, one of us has to transfer, and I'm not transferring because I had a scholarship to run track. So she transferred to Mizzou.
Okay. And so being an SEC school then too, you got to travel quite a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you're used to like living out of a suitcase and doing all that like a CrossFit athlete might have to do in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we went to semifinals, I just kept getting flashbacks of doing it the same thing with track. It's very similar.
We're going to take a short break from our interview to tell you about our newest sponsor, Up Before You Coffee. They are an amazing coffee. It is delicious, has different little notes of chocolate and things like that. And it's really clean and crisp when you drink it in the morning. But they have a light roast. They also have a medium roast, as you can see there. We are so excited about the sponsorship. If you use Clydesdale20, all caps, Clydesdale20, you can get 20% off your order. Just go to upbeforeyou.com and order your coffee. It's delicious. You'll love it. What did you major in college?
Oh, marketing.
Marketing. Is that what you do for a full-time job?
So for a full-time job, I'm a sales rep. I sell payroll platform to small businesses. So I'm in sales, but it's still business. My degree was business with an emphasis in marketing. So, and I also think you do have to use a little bit of marketing in sales.
And so what has that been like trying to train for the semifinals and working a full-time job?
Yeah, it's been really tough. I have to like try to fit it in where I can. A lot of times I would just have to go after work, and it did make it difficult because I'm one of those people that I'm all in on. So like when I do something, I'm all in. And when I saw that I had to like skip some of the programming for the day because I couldn't fit it in, it like kills me. So yeah, it's really hard to manage both of them.
Well, you're a marketing major, and with you making the semifinals, you got a lot of publicity from a lot of companies. Have sponsors reached out to you? Is that a possibility for your future?
Potentially that is something that we're working on a little bit, but no progress yet.
Yeah, they may have something going on here in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a little bit busy right now.
Yeah.
Are you getting some guidance from some of the same people that help Brooke with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Shane helps me a ton. So does Tia, Dwight, Nick, all the proven coaches. It's cool. It's kind of like a team effort, and they just all like help me out with anything that I need. So yeah, it's definitely some conversations I've had with some of the coaches.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Have you had to, let's talk a little bit about nutrition. Have you had to dial that in, and when did that journey start, and who's been helping you with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started it like a week before semifinals, and his name's
Okay.
Jamie Free. He's an owner at CrossFit Tribune, which is the CrossFit gym I go to. And it's funny because when I started, I was like, I want a nutrition plan for aesthetics. I'm not training for performance, so don't try to make me eat all of this food because I'm just doing it to look good. And then literally like a week later, I made semifinals, and I went back and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to need nutrition for performance. So yeah, he like upped everything, and I was eating so much food, and I think it really helped me. I toned out so much and definitely had a lot more energy with the nutrition program he gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost a shame you hadn't started it sooner, right? Because
I know.
I would imagine a couple weeks isn't quite enough time to really get the full benefit of that.
Yeah, I did lose like 4% body fat in like 2 months, which was awesome. But like you said, I definitely like am excited to see what I can do with being on the program a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. So with some of the proven folks, you know, training for the games, what's the vibe like at the gym now these next few weeks? Are you still getting in work? Are you taking it easy a little bit, knowing that, you know, you're kind of in an off-season position?
Yeah, they are awesome. I kind of like expected to not really be included in games training because they need to focus, and it's all like I don't want to take any time away from their training, and they're amazing. I went in yesterday and I was like, thanks for letting me join in. And Tia was like, our training is as much as your training as it is ours. So they let me like come in and train with them, and the vibes are actually great. Like we really do have so much fun training. And so it's a lot of hard work, but definitely like we have fun doing it. And I've been kind of like doing a few classes here and there like I was before, but also just hopping in with the proving group every so often too. I think this month is a little bit more laid back, and then starting in August, I think I'll try to get back to training a little bit harder and definitely work on a lot of skills.
So
Do you have
that's
a,
kind of, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Do you have, we talked to Nick previously, and, he was saying how it was kind of not necessarily broken up, but, he has a couple athletes he focuses on, Dwight does and Shane does. Do you have one that particularly works with you specifically, or do you just kind of, everyone has their input?
Yeah, it's really been a lot of like a team effort. I would say definitely Dwight. I think he writes my programming. I mean, he writes my programming, and Shane's around a lot, so Shane critiques me and stuff where I need it. But also, like Nick was helping me on legless rope climbs, and I would record them and send it to him. So it's really a team effort.
Yeah.
So after going through this season, what have you identified that you really need to work on to make the next step?
Definitely gymnastics skill, high volume gymnastics. That's definitely something that I haven't been doing and I need a lot of work on. And I also think if I get my techniques better on some of the lifting, that could help me a lot as well.
When did you start lifting?
We lifted some in track, but like for me, it was like kind of a joke. I was like, this is so light. Like they would set like a weight that we couldn't go over, and it was really light for me. But like seriously lifting, I guess I would say like it's been probably 3 years.
Okay. And we know that takes a ton of time,
Mm-hmm.
to master the technique and to build a strong base. You guys have a pretty close relationship with your parents, or so it appears to be. Where do they live? Are they still back home?
So my mom lives in St. Louis, Missouri, and my dad lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Okay. So what's it been like being away from them, but going through this pretty big piece of your life, training for the games? And I guess the same thing would go for Brooke too, even more so, but what's it like to not have them sort of like right there?
I think it does help that we have each other. Like me and my sister are so close. Like she's my best friend, and we've just done everything together for our whole life. So it helps having her. My mom, I call her all the time. Like when I was trying to balance work and training, I would definitely call her crying sometimes. I'd be like, this is so much. I don't know what to do. But yeah, I would say like we talk on the phone a lot, and it's nice. They always come to every event that we ever have, so we know that they'll be there when it matters.
I also heard you say in an interview that you and Brooke spent 2 years apart, and moving to Nashville was so awesome to finally come back together. How important was that to you? And then how close do you live to her in Nashville now?
So we live together. Yeah, and yeah, it meant a lot. Like I knew that when we had both decided that we were going to move, that we had to make it work and pick a place that we both knew that we would enjoy, because I want to make sure that like it's for the long term and that we want it, like it's somewhere we want to stay for a while. And yeah, it meant a lot because we've literally done everything together. Like we couldn't even go to separate colleges. So it's been amazing to have her back. But I do think that sometimes like the 2 years apart were good for us because we just learn to be a little bit more of individuals than always being the Wells twins.
Yeah.
In what ways does Brooke help you?
She helps me a lot. Well, I would say I would definitely not have the coaches that I do if it weren't for her. So she's worked really hard to get to where she is today, and have the opportunity to work with them. And it's been great that she has allowed me to do that as well. And then when I like get a little nervous, she'll send me like motivational quotes, and like she just helps a lot. And like she'll break down workouts for me if I have questions, or like when I was struggling with like what should I do, because I can't do all the programming because I have a job. So she would like kind of look at it and tell me what she thinks I should prioritize, and basically she helps me a lot.
So how does that translate away from CrossFit?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely help each other with all aspects of life. We're super supportive in everything that we do. And yeah, I think we both learn a lot from each other.
Sid, do you have a boyfriend?
No, we're both single.
Yeah, I trolled your Instagram, and I've seen you with like one or two boys, maybe in college, like a baseball player and somebody else, and they're probably just friends. But I just wondered.
Yeah.
Do you think you would consider dating someone in CrossFit, or would you prefer somebody who maybe isn't part of that universe?
I really don't know. I don't think that I would like pick someone based off of if they did CrossFit or didn't do CrossFit, but I mean, I don't really know. I would date a CrossFitter, or I would date not a CrossFitter, but I definitely would have to date someone who prioritizes their health and wellness and fitness and all of that, because that's a huge priority for me.
And I assume Brooke would have to approve as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I noticed one serious thing missing from your gym workouts, and that is a gym dog. Are there no gym dogs in East Nashville or at Trivium?
So at East Nashville, dogs actually aren't really allowed. So there's no dogs there, which is sad. Trivium has like a few here and there for when like some members will bring them in for each class, but there's not really like a dog that stays at the gym. But I wish there was, because I'm a huge dog person. I wish I could have one. It's just so much responsibility, especially now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I understand. Well, anytime you find one at Trivium and you want to stick it in your story and tag me, let me know, because I'm a huge dog fan. Did you have dogs growing up?
Yeah, we did. We had a golden retriever and then a Yorkie too.
Awesome. I love it. Love it.
Do you have dogs?
I have 3 dogs. Yes, I have a golden retriever, I have an Australian Shepherd mix, and I have an Australian cattle dog mix.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, 10, 6, and 2.
What do you do with them when you have to travel so much?
Well, I'm married and have 2 kids, so there's always usually someone home. My husband is not into CrossFit whatsoever, so we get to split our time. He has no interest in coming with me to these events, so that works out well. And then we have a dog sitter that comes when like the family goes on vacation. She'll stay at our house. Okay, yeah, that's a big deal. And Scott has a new puppy now.
Yeah, mine actually is 6 months old now, but it's part Chihuahua, part Yorkie, but it looks like a mini Doberman.
Oh, wow. That sounds really cute. I'm jealous.
And Charlie, I think you have a new puppy too, right?
Yes, he's 10 weeks old. He's a lab with blue eyes, but I would definitely suggest you waiting on getting a puppy, because he is.
Yeah.
If sleep is a priority,
well, you have to understand, Sydney. Charlie has 100 children, a wife, and needs a dog like a hole in the head. So it wasn't the best.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so funny. And then, meanwhile, I run a gym out of my garage, and I'm always home. So I would have probably more dogs if I wasn't married to my husband. He's put the brakes on 3. I might have more. So
every time we travel, Kat is looking for dogs. In every city we're at, we go to like the town square, and she's got to pet every dog there. It's crazy.
Every single one.
Oh
Yes. When we were in Knoxville, I don't know if you got to like the downtown area in Knoxville with all the restaurants and everything, but they were so dog friendly. And it would take us 20 minutes to walk from the restaurant to the car because I had to stop and meet all the dogs.
Oh my gosh, you sound like me, honestly. I love that.
I love them.
They are so
Oh, well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed getting to know you. We have some like rapid fire questions that we want to ask to sort of wrap up the hour, if that's okay with you. I've got to pull them up on my phone here because I sent them to the crew before we started.
I'm up first, so I will hit you with the first one, and that is lake life a real thing?
Yes, I actually lived at the lake for one summer in college. Me and my friend got jobs and we were waitresses there, and it is indeed. I love it.
So you'd like to be near the water?
Yeah, I do. I love like boat rides and just like hang out at the lake with friends. I think it's so fun.
So when you make the games someday, is the swimming event going to be a good thing for you?
Potentially. I definitely would need to work on it a little bit more, but I don't hate swimming. I just could get a little bit better at it probably.
Awesome.
My question is, which would you prefer, a sled push or the torque tank?
So like the torque tank, would you mean like the sled pull?
Yes.
Okay, I would rather do the push.
Did you notice a big difference between those two pieces of equipment, like a normal sled push versus the torque tank push?
So he had actually got one, so we had been practicing with it. So I kind of like knew what it felt like, but it is a lot different. You just kind of have to keep it moving since it's on wheels. So it's good when it gets rolling, but it is pretty difficult.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to talk macros now a little bit. Jamie, we know Jamie actually too because he's part of the Masters Fitness Collective.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like and Scott and I work that event. So, do you have a favorite macro?
Carb for sure. I'm obsessed with like English muffins and oatmeal. And rice.
No hesitation.
Perfect. That is the right answer, by the way.
Yeah, it's like the first number that goes every time.
All right. Would you have beaten Brooke in the ruck run at West Coast?
Ooh, that's hard. I would probably say no.
Really?
I actually, that's a really good question. I don't really know, but she's been doing it for so long. I really don't know.
So when you guys were on your podcast appearance with the Mark Bell project, you were asked about races and like who would win, and she said that you would always win unless it was like a 5K.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, maybe, I don't know, so I'm surprised that you said that, but okay.
Yeah, like anything short, like sprinting, I would definitely win, but it would be a close race, like if it's longer distance, like the ruck run.
Was it fun for you to watch the games sprint event?
Yeah.
In 19?
Yeah, I went and watched that, and I get really nervous for sprints because there's really no time for error, but I knew that sprint looked super fun.
Yeah, I mean, not the greatest outcome for your sister, clearly, but the event in itself was awesome, and I think you would have done really well at it.
Oh, the sprint, the running. Okay, I was on a different page.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was super jealous of that. I was like, dang, this is something that I would be so good at. Yeah, I loved watching that one. I wish it would have turned out a little bit better, though.
Yeah, we all do. Those cuts were brutal.
So if we got rid of all the apps on your phone, what are the 3 that you could not live without?
I guess I would just say my most used ones would be like texting, Instagram, and Snapchat.
All right.
Would you rather face 1,000 mosquitoes or 1 grizzly bear?
1,000 mosquitoes.
It'd be easier to fend off, you think? See, I would pick the grizzly bear because I hate getting bitten by a mosquito.
I do too. I
the
swear I
worst.
get bitten every time I'm outside at night,
Mhm.
but I don't know, like, how would you fight off a grizzly bear?
I would like play dead, maybe. I would play dead. I would
It
play
didn't
dead.
really work out for Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
though.
Have you ever had a mosquito bite and then taken a pre-workout?
No.
What?
Oh,
Well, I don't
so
take pre-workout.
okay. So there's the pre-workouts that sort of make you tingly that have like that beta alanine in them. If you have a mosquito
Yeah.
bite, it makes the mosquito bite just start itching all over again like it just happened. And I worked out this morning and I have a mosquito bite right on the top of my foot, like where my sock meets my shoe. And I had to like take off my shoe like 5 times to like just go at my foot. It was so itchy. Yeah.
I
It's
could
good that you don't
definitely
do.
see how that would happen.
Oh, it's so bad.
And in Madison, the mosquitoes are the size of like pigeons.
I'm gonna be showering in my off bug spray. I think that's gross. Can't take it.
Yeah.
All right. So who is more nurturing, Dwight, Shane, or Nick?
They all are awesome. I guess Shane.
Got to go with the boss,
there.
just to be safe.
Well, on the other side, who is more entertaining? Alec, Will, Street, or I'll throw in James Newberry since he showed up.
I would say Will. He's always up to something.
And he's got that massive dog.
Yeah, that
see the
dog.
dog.
Yes, and it's huge.
It's gigantic.
I miss that
Mhm.
dog.
It's like a
All right. I'm calling an audible here, guys. This is one that I didn't write down, but I just thought of it. Who's got the best sushi in Nashville?
Virago.
Virago.
It's so good. It's downtown. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, me and my sister love poke bowls, and they have one called the Pokey in Brentwood, and we get that probably twice a week. It's so good.
So what's in the ingredients of that poke bowl for you? What do you put on it?
So I do spicy tuna, ahi tuna, seaweed salad, ginger, crab, and then like pretty much every topping. It's like edamame, onions, that kind of stuff, and it is so good.
Okay.
was
Last
the-
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Charlie.
What was the place? Was it a Mexican place Nick was talking about?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
that
write
was
it
good,
down.
Oh, Superica.
Sprika. Yeah.
Is it as
That
good as he
place-
says?
Yes. I mean, that's probably like my favorite restaurant in Nashville.
All right,
That's
guys.
what he
Now we
said.
have 2 to go to.
That's like 3
It's
quality.
so good.
I love it. All right. So last question. What would Mama Lisa say is your best quality?
That's a good one. I mean, she always just isn't really sweet and caring. I guess that's the quality.
Well, Sydney, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. Hopefully we can do it again someday. Best of luck with your training. We'll definitely be looking out for you next year. We'll look to see you in Madison, check in and say hi. We'll be rooting on Brooke, of course. And thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.